Hi, this is Polyban Teaches and I am Sagorika Banerjee. Once again, I am back with another video related to the topic Poets and Pancakes for the students of class 12th. So as promised, in this video, I am going to tell you about the theme of the chapter and the competency based questions asked in the class 12th board examination. So let us see the video and know the theme of the chapter. The chapter tells us about the different ways in which people work together despite having a dislike for each other. तो एक तरीके से इस चैप्टर में हमें ये बताया जाता है कि एक साथ एक टीम में काम करते हुए भी लोग एक दूसरे से को डिसलाइक भी करते हैं, लेकिन देन ऑल्सो दे वर्क टुगेदर. वी ऑल्सो कम टू नो द डिफरेंस बिटवीन रियल लाइफ एंड द रियल लाइफ. Real life, it is always shown the bigger picture, whereas just behind the scenes, actual real life में क्या होता है, that has also been very beautifully explained in this chapter. The narrator gives us an idea of the backstage happenings that took place at the Gemini studio, the relationship between the various people working over there, like the artists, the poets, the authors and the team members. The process for preparing the artist to perform a movie role is also talked about. So किस तरीके से कोई एक particular scene shoot किया जाता है, everything has been very beautifully expressed in this chapter. Now this is all about the theme of the lesson. Now coming to the competency based questions. NCERT वाले questions कुछ हद तक competency based होते हैं, लेकिन कुछ और इस chapter से related competency based questions आ सकते हैं. For example, I have taken a passage for RTC, like, often he looked alone and helpless, a man of cold logic in a crowd of dreamers, a neutral man in an assembly of Gandhites and Khadites. Like so many of those who were close to the boss, he was allowed to produce a film, and though a lot of raw stock and pancake were used on it, not much came of the film. Then one day the boss closed the story department, and this was perhaps the only instance in all human history where a lawyer lost his job because the poets were asked to go home. So these are the lines taken from the chapter, and the question comes out to be like, name the person who is being referred in the above lines. Yes, the lawyer, it is about the lawyer. And then give a valid reason to prove that he was misfit in the studio. So there is a mention of this man, lawyer, as a man of cold logic in a crowd of dreamers. तो ये phrase आप दे सकते हो. A man of cold logic in a crowd of dreamers. Again, explain this phrase. So this phrase means, it describes about a person who approaches life with a rational, analytical mindset, means logical mindset रखता है, standing out among those who are more imaginative and idealistic. So he becomes an odd man out in the field of, in the group of imaginative people. Now coming to the next one, next question is, complete the given analogy with the help of the words from the passage. Analogy वाले questions वो होते हैं जो आपको समझना पड़ेगा. एक पेयर दिया जाता है, वो पेयर ऑफ वर्ड्स से आपको समझना है कि वो दोनों वर्ड्स आपस में whether they are antonym or synonym, और दूसरा पेयर में आपको डैश दिया जाएगा और एक वर्ड दिया जाएगा. Understanding the analogy pair of that, the relation of those words, you have to fill the next blank. So here the words are produce and make. Produce and make gives the similar meaning, that means synonym. So another pair is given unbiased. Passage में से अगर आप देखें तो there is a word named neutral. So unbiased you can use for this neutral word. Coming to the next question, state which of the given statements is true. आपके पास दो स्टेटमेंट है. The story department was closed down by the boss as it was not giving any profit. This is one statement. Second one is, the lawyer lost his job because of his selfish and rude behavior. So of course the first statement is the right statement, that is true. Now coming to the next extract, that is again another lines I have taken. Stephen Spender, the poet who had visited Gemini Studios. In a moment I felt a dark chamber of my mind lit up by a hazy illumination. The reaction to Stephen Spender at Gemini Studios was no longer a mystery. The boss of the Gemini Studios may not have much to do with Spender's poetry, but not with his God that failed. Now these are the lines and probably the last few lines of the chapter. Question on this: what is meant by a dark chamber of mind lit up by a hazy illumination? अगर ये क्वेश्चन आता है, you have to write down the answer. The phrase a dark chamber of my mind lit up a hazy illumination metaphorically describes a state of introspection or contemplation where unclear thoughts are gradually being understood and illuminated. Writer को पहले एक doubt था, unclear thoughts थे, but here after seeing that book, all his thoughts got cleared. Next question: how did the narrator realize the identity of the people who had visited Gemini Studios? When the narrator saw identity of the poet. Now when the narrator saw the name of one of the authors of that book, that God That Failed, and there he saw the name as Stephen Spender, he realized the identity of the poet and understood the purpose of his visit to Gemini Studio. Now coming to the next question: why is the Englishman's visit referred in the story as unexplained mystery? Because nobody told. So because of his appearance, option A, because of his dress style, because of his hairstyle, because of his unfamiliarity and baffled looks. Yes, this is the correct answer. Fourth option. Now next question comes out to be complete the given टेबल. तो एक टेबल दी जाएगी जिसमें लिखा रहेगा एक स्टेटमेंट और एक रीजन. आपको स्टेटमेंट दिया गया, रीजन लिखना है. सो स्टीफन स्पेंडर हैड विजिटेड जेमिनी स्टूडियो. द रीजन इज at the end of the chapter you can get the reason that he was writing the book The God That Failed at that time. So he visited to Gemini Studio. Last question: how does the author come to know that English author was Stephen Spender? So the narrator saw the name of the same poet in the book The God That Failed, and somewhere the time also matched, and he understood that this was the purpose of the poet to visit their Gemini Studio. Now coming to the 40 to 50 words wala short type questions. The poet had conceived idea about communism. Explain why. In the lesson Poets and Pancakes, Ashoka Mitran, the poet had preconceived ideas. पहले से उसके दिमाग में कुछ ideas थे about communism due to the following reasons. और वो following reasons क्या हैं? एक तो है influence of surroundings. Then next is the lack of personal experience. Then influence of propaganda. Then cultural and social stereotypes. Influence of surroundings में क्या आएगा? The poet was a part of a community where communism was often criticized or seen with some suspicion. लोग communism की बात कम ही करते थे, which led them to form a biased opinion. Okay, next is lack of personal experience. He had not directly encountered any communism in his life, in his practical life. So his understanding was shaped by what others said about it, rather than his own experience. Next is influence of propaganda. The prevailing political environment and media of the time likely influenced the perception of communism as something negative. So without understanding in-depth meaning of it, he was influenced by the propaganda. And the last one is cultural and social stereotypes. So communism was often portrayed in opposition to the traditional values like ahinsavadi, which may have contributed the poet's initial thoughts or negative thoughts and being very biased about it. So these are the factors you can give. Another question is, through the mention of Robert Clive, how does the narrator bring out the extravaganza of those in the power? So in the lesson Poets and Pancakes, the author mentions about Robert Clive, and these are the points which help you to answer the question. First is the symbol of colonial wealth. Robert Clive, a key figure in British Army colonial rule, represents the immense wealth and power accumulated by the British in India. His legacy is associated with lavish taste of colonial administrators. So this is one of the reasons. Lavish lifestyle agar kahi jaye, Clive's lifestyle and the riches he amassed from his time in India symbolize the extravagant privileges these English people were getting, and they were enjoying their power, especially in the country like India. Contrast with ordinary people. The narrator contrasts Clive's wealth with grandeur, wealth and grandeur with the struggling life of the common Indian people at that time. Then irony of power. By mentioning Clive's eventual downfall and mental instability, the narrator subtly critiques the transient nature of power. क्योंकि power कभी एक जगह रुकती नहीं है, it moves on. So today I am having power, next maybe tomorrow somebody else will have the power. So through Robert Clive, the narrator comments on opulence, privilege and eventual decline of those who are in power or misuse the power. Next question. Gemini Studio was known as a breeding ground of national integration. इसका मैंने आपको पिछली वीडियो में बताया था. You have to tell them, mention the type of people who used to work in this studio. They shared the same passion for camera, their cross-cultural collaboration and common purpose. What was the common purpose? Purpose of making a film. Now coming to the this question, there is one question you may be asked. Though the MRA, that is moral rearmament, was called an international circus, how did they differ from the usual circus group? So इसमें क्या है that purpose-driven activities were there. Unlike a regular circus that focuses only on entertainment and spectacle, the MRA aim to promote moral and ethical values. ये आपकी book में भी दिया हुआ है. They aim to promote moral and ethical values. So their performances are designed on such values. Moral and spiritual themes were the key features of such activities. Inclusivity and participation means they used to include each and every people in the discussions, in the presentations, in the performances. Global representation, it was a troupe of 200 people coming from 20 different nations. So it is global representation. Philosophical and ideological focus was also there. So this is all about the competency based questions which can be asked from this chapter, the poets and pancakes. So in the upcoming videos, I will try to bring more chapters to help all those students of class 12th who are actually preparing for the board exam. Till then, bye bye.